Hello?
Hi, this is Tom from Twitter.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Tom. I hope you can hear me. My phone needs to be repaired. Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you
Okay,
hear
so I need
me?
my phone repaired actually. Okay. I can very loud and clear on my end. Yeah. Uh-huh. So I want to thank you
So,
for calling me back.
that's no problem. So, could you explain to me your situation?
Yeah, if you can hear all right. If not, I can call from another phone.
I can
Anyway,
hear.
I guess I'd made a post and in a way it really wasn't very gentlemanly of me and I can see that in retrospect. However, the post basically told this person running for Congress from Utah that he's sort of like a Jew supporting Nazis. He's basically supporting my contention was he's supporting a racist president that, and I said this, I said if you support him, this guy would just as soon see you lynched as have you in Congress, than the president would. And I got banned for that. And the reason given was that I was encouraging this man to kill himself or harm himself, which I contest because well, it depends on what we think of Mr. Trump. And if you believe Mr. Trump is capable of bringing forces to bear that would, in fact, hurt or harm this potential congressman, then you're right. I guess I was encouraging him sarcastically and facetiously to follow that path. If you don't believe Mr. Trump would in reality hurt or harm this man, then there was no problem. It's a logical problem here, and also a decision that kind of hinges on what we think about the character of Mr. Trump.
Uh, well,
Follow that.
sir, on Twitter, we do not encourage people to tell people to kill themselves.
That's what I'm saying I didn't do. You understand that? I can read the post to you, and it will in no way suggest that I told him to kill himself or harm himself at all.
Okay, you can
That's
read.
what I was
You can
accused
read
of.
the. You can read the post.
All right, let me read it to you. Just a second. Pull it up. Hang on. And I appreciate you calling, no matter how I. Okay, it says at Burgess Owens, which is his name, and also I referenced at Real Donald Trump. I said, "Well, hello, Uncle Tom." And Uncle Tom refers to a historical black person that sold out his ethnicity to do things that would harm his own people. And I said, I thought you'd all learned from your lesson with anti-Tom Neil Love, but no, you're conflicted. So you go with Trump, who just as well see you lynched by his white supremacist buzz as holding public office. He's never rent you. You do know. That's what I wrote. So I said that Mr. Trump would just as soon see him lynched by his white supremacist friends as to see him in Congress. But I didn't encourage him to hurt or harm himself.
Well, sir, saying Uncle Tom is racist.
No, Uncle Tom person and Uncle Tom is not racist. He's a historical figure, and that was not
Well,
the reason that was given to me as to why I was banned anyway.
well, our
It may be
censors.
a disparaging appellation for a person.
Well, our sensors detect
Go
that
ahead.
you're a white, that you're of Caucasian race, and that's a word that you can't use.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I'll post that on Twitter and let everyone know that they can't use the term Uncle Tom because you contend it's a racist term, especially if I'm white. Is that correct? Maybe a black
Yes,
could use it, and blacks often call themselves their own members Uncle Toms. In fact, that's where the term came from. It originated from blacks calling this man an Uncle Tom.
yes, and you do not
But
have
I'll
the
post
Uncle
that on
Tom
Twitter and let
pass.
people know.
You do not have the Uncle Tom pass.
Pardon?
You do
I don't
not
have the
have the.
Uncle Tom pass. I love that quote. I'll use it.
Okay, yes, you do not have that term. You do not have the card to use that word.
That you use this counter racism against me. You're basing your decision on my race and saying that you're going to um, you'd ban me or you'd prohibit this term being used by a white person, which means that you're being racist yourself. Do you understand that? The irony in that?
Sir, that would be like if you were saying the N word, and then I would say that me being prosecuted for that would be
Oh,
racist.
I see what you're saying. You're saying if a white person said the N word, that would be a racist thing, which I fully agree. But if a black person says the N word, it's an endearing term. Is that correct?
If they want to use it that way, they can.
That's funny, but we can only use words based on our race. That's an interesting racist take. This isn't turning out so well for me. It just is sort of letting me
This,
see sort of the inconsistencies and how kind of I don't know. These are really illogical statements you're making. I'm fine. I went with the option of deleting the post so that I could get back on Twitter and get out of Twitter purgatory. I wish you guys would have called me sooner. We might have had this discussion earlier before I deleted the post and acceded to that. But this is kind of crazy that you're leading me into this water where I really wonder if your censors really have any kind of logical position behind what they're doing.
sir, do you regularly say the N
And it
word?
just seems like random. Pardon?
Do you
Pardon?
regularly say the N word?
I've never said. I've even had some black people that I've had sex with tell me they want me to call them that, and I said no, I can't do that. They give me permission to say it, and I'm like, no, I can't do that. A white supremacist would use the word in an instant, and I think that would be a racist person. I agree with that. But are blacks that use that term themselves? Are they maybe like um, bound by Stockholm syndrome or internalized racism against their own people? Possibly, very much so.
Why are you fighting for the right to say it though?
Oh, well, I'm not. I'm saying that if you're going to hold a standard out, well, I'm gay, for example, right? I'm gay. So there's been the disparaging term faggot, right? And I get what you're saying because sometimes in our community, we'll call each other fag and we'll mean it in a playful, kind of endearing way. But you'd better believe I agree with you that if someone else that's not in the gay community calls me a fag, yeah, it does raise my dander. So I'll grant you that. I'll grant you that. Argument even. I'll let you. I'll accede to you on that. I promise I will. So I understand your position there. So you made it clear to me. I believe that what you're saying. I've never used that word, by the way, and wouldn't. So, thanks for that part. Um, I'm not so clear about the term Uncle Tom, however, but it's clear that that's racist. I don't know that I'll comment on that quite yet.
Well,
What do you think about this whole? The basis for. Uh-huh. Go ahead.
here at Twitter, we think that we're actually going to make it where you can't tweet about politics anymore.
So what?
We're going to put a restriction on your account where you can't do political posts anymore.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really? I get your name.
Oh,
Could I
maybe
please
you
get your
should.
name?
Oh, my name's Tom.
Hello, Tom. And do you have a last name or an employee ID number?
Yes, my employee ID number
I want
is
you to stand by
E.
what you're doing. I want you to stand by your actions.
Yes, I'm
Tell
telling
me
you
what
my
you're
employee ID number, sir. My employee ID
doing.
number my employee ID number is E42069,
Uh-huh. Okay.
and
I've
that's
got
my
that.
employee
Do
ID
you have a
number.
supervisor, a way to contact your supervisor,
My supervisor is currently
sir?
returning a my supervisor is currently returning a movie to Blockbuster right now.
Okay. Could you ask them to call me maybe when they get back, possibly?
Yes, I could.
I'd appreciate that because I think your decision is arbitrary and capricious. I think it's on an unfounded basis. You haven't articulated to me the reason why I was told that I was encouraging a person to hurt or harm himself. You haven't explained that. You went off onto a tangent about something I don't know if is settled. The term Uncle Tom. Lots of African Americans use that term, and I don't know that it's racist to use that term. I've never heard anyone say. If I look up Uncle Tom in the dictionary, I don't think it's going to tell me it's a disparaging term. I really don't. Maybe that would be how we settle that discussion.
But
Well, and have your uh-huh. If you're going to make that decision to block me on this arbitrary and capricious ground, then I'd ask that your supervisor call me.
I'm just wanting to let you know that Twitter is not for social justice warrior beta male cucks.
For what?
It's not for SGW beta male cucks. Yeah, why don't you just why don't you stop tweeting so much and get that phone repaired? Use your time more wisely.
You know what? I had asked for someone at Twitter that was erudite and could actually kind of comprehend the nuances of the argument I was making, and I haven't found that with you. I've just found that you're ready to retaliate, and on the arbitrary and capricious grounds, tell me things like I don't have any right to speech. That's all I'm getting from you.
Sir, we're a private corporation, so we can restrict your speech however ways we want.
Of course you can, but you cannot restrict my speech to other entities, the media and other platforms, or the media through press releases or whatever. You can't restrict me about commenting on your particular arbitrary and capricious policy. I want you to know that.
We can stop you from posting on Twitter about it.
Twitter you can, but you must think Twitter's the end-all and be-all of communications here.
What, are you going to go post on Facebook? So all the old ladies
do a press release
and grandmas.
Yeah, I know. Uh-huh.
Where are you going to do a press release? How are you going to do a press release?
Press releases before.
Do you think you're some like media big shot?
No. But do I think I know how to write a press release and send it off to different media channels? Absolutely.
Hey, my supervisor actually just got back. He'll be on the phone in a second.
Okay.
Here's my supervisor.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
Oh. Hold on 1 second. We're having an issue with with our phone transferring. It'll be a minute.
Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hi. May I ask who this is? It looks like...
Right. My name's Sean Campbell.
Okay.
And I can explain what's going on here if you'd like.
Sure. Is this in reference to a complaint or an issue with someone that you engaged with on our platform?
Well, it originated, and I'll read the original tweet that's been deleted because I wanted to get out of Twitter purgatory and back into being able to post. If you don't mind, I'll just read that short post to you. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, that's fine. Sure, yeah,
okay,
go ahead.
And I apologize. My phone has a bad microphone, and I need to have it repaired, but the pandemic's kind of... Anyway, I'll try to get this through clearly to you. Hang on. So the post, and can I get your name, at least the first name, just like... You mind?
Hello?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Only just barely. Can you maybe like try yelling into your microphone? I mean, I'm sorry to ask that. I know that's strange, but it's really quiet.
So I'll tell you what my original tweet said, and I'll say it loud, but I'm not trying to. It says, at Bird gentleman running for Congress for Utah, and he's African American, and it also addresses at real Donald Trump. And I said, well, hello, Uncle Tom, meaning Mr. Burgess. I thought you all learned your lesson with Angie Tom Neal Love, the African American woman who ran for a Republican seat. But no, you go with Trump, who just as well to lynched by his white supremacist buzz as holding public office. Never rent to you. That's what the tweet says, if you captured that or heard it.
I heard bits and pieces, but I think I've pulled it up here. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so looks like it got flagged. Is that right?
That's right. So I was in Twitter purgatory for a while. I appealed it, and whoever reviewed it decided in favor of maintaining the ban. And I wanted to appeal it because I don't think my argument was heard by someone that could give a fair adjudication of that. I'd asked for somebody that was kind of erudite, that would sort of be able to hear my logical argument and see if it made sense to them. And so far, I haven't got that. But I think I can find that in you, possibly.
Well, I'm a gay man, and gay men have brains similar in structure to women as it regards language processing. So perhaps I can be a little...
And I talked to Tom. Yeah, I talked to Tom about that. We argued a bit for the term... the N-word, which I've never used, even when people have told me to use it and invited me to use it, saying having sex. I said, no, I can't do that. I agreed with him that that's a term that is certainly available to the African-American community and people in that to use how they may want, just like we use the term fag as a kind of term of endearment among our friends, but we don't like it when someone else calls us that. I conceded that to him. I said, you're absolutely right.
That's right.
He contends that Uncle Tom is a racist term, and I don't know if any dictionary would say it's a disparaging remark or not. It's a historical figure.
If I may interject, you were talking to my employee, Mr. Tom Servo, and Tom finds that word personally offensive. He is African American, and he does find it appalling when people use his name, and also a word that he feels only people of his race should be using. So I apologize if he gave you a hard time over that.
Okay. So I can understand that he might take exception to that term and use of it. I just don't know if it's universally accepted as a disparaging or racist term, though. That's what I would have to contend. And I think it would only be fair to find some other source to look for truth value in that and see if that's not the case. If a number of dictionaries or even one dictionary or even, Urban Dictionary or any dictionary were to say that's a disparaging term, I would grant him that.
Yeah, well, it's just Tom. We can't really say anything because it's 2020 and, he's black, so.
Sure. I get that. Well, anyway, so the basis for rejecting my post and for banning me, however, was not, it didn't say that it was a racist term I was using. It said that I was encouraging someone to hurt or harm themselves or kill themselves. And I said, well, possibly, depending on what Twitter thinks the nature and capabilities of Mr. President Donald Trump would be. If they think, in fact, if Twitter believes as a matter of corporate understanding or policy that Mr. Trump could, in fact, bring forces to bear where his white supremacist supporters might harm Mr. Burgess or kill Mr. Burgess, then yes, my facetious and sarcastic encouragement of him to support Mr. Trump might be seen as encouraging someone to hurt or harm them if you can't see the irony of the facetiousness of the statement. It might be. But if Mr. Trump is not capable of hurting or bringing forces to bear that would hurt Mr. Burgess or cause him to kill himself, then it's a moot point.
So here's the thing, and the reason why we couldn't resolve it, looking at the file here, Twitter is officially of the position that Mr. Trump is perfectly capable of exerting that type of force. And in fact, we have some evidence. We see Twitter, we have servers all over the world, and between each server, we have access to all the data that passes between them. And so we have kind of broad view of geopolitics through the eyes of the people and even through politicians, because everyone's using our platform. So what I'm seeing here is that an internal investigation was done that determined. Let's see. Let me just give it a brief skim. Oh, yeah. Okay. So yeah, it looks like we have actually determined that he has been inciting violence secretly among his followers through various other organizations, through direct messages and private communications on other platforms. And he is actively trying to incite a civil war. I mean, it's just our terminology. He's basically trying to stir the pot. So I do agree with your assessment there. If he was incapable of that or unwilling to do that, then it wouldn't. But we
given
at
what
Twitter
you're saying, I will grant you that if someone couldn't see the irony of a facetious or sarcastic remark, and it's not clear what that is what I intended from just a cursory reading of it. I mean, it's anyone could take that however they wanted, and I think that would be valid if I didn't explain it further to them. But I grant you all that, Ben. And I grant you there was reason for the ban at this point. So I appreciate your explanation of all that.
Oh, of course. There's just one other thing, like, to bear in mind is that most of the people on Twitter, and you know this as a evidently a well-read and studied person, most of the people on our platform are below the top of the bell curve on the left, if you know what I mean. So a lot of the feedback that we get comes from people whose IQs are like, 85, 90, and they're not at the top of the bell curve like you.
Okay. I'm just granting you that the people could have perhaps read my language differently than maybe I was intending, and I will grant you that I think that, given your explanation, I think maybe the ban was appropriate.
Well, here's the other thing. I'd like
to apologize for. Pardon?
Oh, I was just going to say, are you currently able to post on our platform at all, or is it just?
I am, and Tom had said he wanted to restrict me from any political posts, which I said was kind of an arbitrary and capricious decision, I thought, but maybe it's not. I mean, I think I'm going to concede to you folks that I want to tell you I wouldn't do that again, and I would be very cautious about making any sort of provocative statement to any politician or person on your platform at this point. I understand the ramifications of it. If you do decide to ban me from political posts, I will respect your
general direction. Our general direction right now is to press any and all political posts. Social media for the past several years has been used in addition to duopoly of the media that began in the 1990s to radicalize political parties and divide people against each other, basically. So that's the direction that we're moving. So because of your involvement with radicalizing people, we have labeled you a violent potential terrorist.
Oh, please, you've got to be kidding. Off one post and a misunderstanding. I'm a violent terrorist.
Well, you seem to be a radical. I mean, you're fighting with me for your values, and you threaten my life.
Pardon? I threatened someone?
Yeah, you threatened my life.
When? How?
Don't ask me. I don't have to tell you. You're the one threatening my life.
I didn't threaten your life, but I will go to the media with this call and let them know exactly what you've told me and your censorship. I will do that for you.
Sir, censorship is allowed in private communications. This isn't a utility. The whole net neutrality thing. Like, it was ruled that the internet's
I am not a terrorist. I did not threaten you, and you're lying.
Yeah, but we could just take the recording of what you just said, cut out the not part, and you would be saying, I am a terrorist. So, we have the upper hand here.
Oh, I think you'd manipulate the data in order to oh, wow. Wow. Unreal.
Oh, no, it's really real. And that's what the media would do, too. Yeah, they would.
So you're going to, I suppose you have an obligation to turn this over, all the recording over to Homeland Security if you believe I'm a terrorist, and have them look into me.
See, it's just what we use in our system. It just says violent radical terrorist. It doesn't mean that you are
That's what I
officially
was arguing, was that your decisions are arbitrary and capricious, sir.
You seem to like those two words
Precisely
a
my
lot.
argument. Pardon?
You seem to like those two words a lot. Do you
Well,
use them
they're
all?
standard words used in these situations. Huh. I really thought I had some understanding going with you, but now I see that it's just some duplicitous little job that you're trying to do.
No, no, no. See,
Done here.
you don't understand. This is actually Tom Servo again, and I don't work for Twitter. I work for Facebook. I'm just trying to get you to use our platform instead.
You're so funny. I gave them up when they started to support Donald Trump in their biased handlings of his posts. But you are just funny beyond words.
Company, we would never do that.
No, you wouldn't, I'm sure. Well, anyway, thank you and have a good day.
I love you. You want to go out sometime?